What happens if we run Minecraft, but what we do is we remove all of this stuff? Because we want to see what FPS we're going to get on the RTX 3090 without any kind of enhancements. So first of all, we'll turn off the shaders. Then what we'll do is we're going to remove the texture pack, because we basically want the least kind of third-party interference with the game as possible, because we want everything to be vanilla. So we'll remove the texture pack and we'll remove the shaders. Already you can see the game, it just looked completely different when we play vanilla. It's almost to the point where I was enjoying it, and now I just don't want to play vanilla Minecraft. So now that we've removed everything, we're getting up to 280 FPS. So even going over 300 FPS, the highest we've just recorded was like 320. So to say that we're getting an over 300 FPS on the RTX 3090 with the Intel 10900K, it's pretty crazy how that drops significantly when we use shaders and resource packs. That's almost like a 250 to 300 FPS drop, because we were getting 30 to 50 FPS in most maps with max settings. So if you're running really good graphics, you're going to see a drop of that much FPS. Is it worth it? For the gameplay, not really, but obviously for the visuals, it makes the game look crazy good. So this is just an idea of the FPS that we're actually getting. Now what we can do is obviously we can push the limits a little bit more. So we can go into the options and go into the video settings, and we can turn the render distance up. We're still getting around 100 FPS, 200 FPS in some parts. It's kind of going up and going down. So it really depends what your render distance is, because obviously it's still rendering the map around us, okay? And typically we'd play Minecraft on a pretty low render distance, probably around 15, but we've got it on 20 blocks here, and it drops all the way down to 30 and 40 and then goes back up over 100, sometimes 200. It's really unstable, the FPS, but it still seems fairly smooth. So let's push the limits a little bit more, and we'll turn up the render distance all the way to, let's say 40, okay? Because that's pretty crazy. So let's turn it up to 40, which is not even the max. And now you can see we're seeing FPS of around 19 at the lowest and 70 at the highest, okay? So obviously the FPS reading in Optifine, not really the most reliable because it fluctuates a lot, but you can see it's around 20 to 40 FPS. So that's the kind of ranges that we're getting, and we can still play Minecraft with basically zero lag, because even when it goes as low as 30, that's still very playable. Because a lot of old computers that play in 30, there's a big difference, but it's still a playable game. So we can actually turn it up ridiculously far and still have the game be playable. What about if we turn it up to the max, okay? So this is on Minecraft, the max render distance is 48 chunks. So now what it's going to have to do is it's going to have to load all those additional chunks. So we basically have to pan ourselves around in a 360-degree motion and wait for it to actually render everything. But not only that, it's actually pretty crazy to see that far into the world, because it just feels so weird. Because obviously my old computer could definitely not run the game like this. And you can see super far into the distance, it feels like a real world. There's just enough fog to make it so you don't see too much, but this is more of a realistic way, so it's definitely playing the game more realistically. Now, we could jump another step and really push the boundaries of this game, and possibly even crash the computer, okay? So not only have we turned the FPS to the highest, what we could then do is we could enable the photorealistic texture pack, or the realistic textures, because they're still vanilla textures, and we'll see if this runs first of all, okay? So with the highest chunks and the realistic textures, we're still doing pretty good, okay? You can see this realistic texture pack, probably not the best texture pack choice we could do. We could use something like LB Photorealism, or a different kind of pack, but you can see with just a normal texture pack, doesn't really lag the game at all. Now that's when shaders obviously come into play, because this is really going to be where our system gets challenged. So let's run a shader. Let's just run Sonic Others, just the best shader pack. Let's just see how that impacts the game. Is it going to crash the game? That's the question. So obviously we're going to have to wait for all the other blocks to render now, because we have the highest render distance turned up where we can view everything. And the game looks noticeably better, okay? I mean, this looks pretty amazing for Minecraft, let's be honest. If you guys have better texture packs and shader packs to use that make the game look even better, then I am interested in making a part 2 to this video, so do let me know the best texture packs and shader packs in the description below, because I don't think this is the very best setup, but I know that we're definitely still pushing the limits. So even on the highest render distance, with shaders, and with a texture pack, we have still a stable 30 FPS in most situations. So the game's very well playable, and you can see that everything looks super nice. So that's basically how powerful the RTX 3090 is. We can play on the max settings, the max graphics, even play with a resource pack that makes the game look better. Now obviously, like I said, granted, we could have a better resource pack, but this one still has semi 3D elements, animations to it, reflective surfaces, and pretty high resolution textures. So this is basically the best you're going to get out of this graphics card. Around 30 to 40 FPS with the best graphics, shaders, and texture packs. So it's pretty crazy what the turnout's been. So make sure to like the video and subscribe, and make sure to turn on notifications. And if you want me to make a second video on the 3090 showcasing the graphics, maybe I'll just make a compilation of all the different camera shots and show you different graphical setups, or just show you RTX features that the graphics card has in the game, then let me know in the comments section below. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.